Well, what's up, guys? I'm here today with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Justin Prince. Wanted to chat with him a little bit and kind of provide you guys some insight. Justin's been a guy that's helped me out a lot, as well as a lot of the people in my organization. So I just kind of want to come here and pick your brain a little bit today,
cool.
Justin. And,
let's do it, dude.
And see if we could provide some value for people there and hopefully for myself as well.
Fantastic. Let's do it.
So, Justin, first of all, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and kind of what you're all about.
So, as you can kind of see from the pictures behind me, I'm a family man first. So, married with 4 incredible kids, an amazing wife, and so I'm a husband and a dad first, for sure. I'm an entrepreneur second. So when I was 25, I came from a broken home at age 12. I was making pizzas and doing construction work at age 16 and 18. So kind of like no professional background. I had a semester and a half of college, so no real educational background. I was introduced to sales when I was early on, direct-to-consumer sales, and that was not what I wanted to do with my whole life, because I was working at a mall kiosk, selling animated Bible movies at a mall kiosk. But sales, if you have a good attitude, you work hard, and you have good skill sets, you can make a decent living for yourself. And so I was introduced to that, and then when I was 25, I was introduced to becoming an entrepreneur. And that's defined a big part of my life. I've been able to build businesses. I've been able to travel the world and speak and train and become an author and a speaker. But really, what my passion is telling people that their past doesn't equal their future, and that they can change their whole world and change the whole trajectory of their world. So it doesn't matter. Your biography is not your destiny. You know, where you've been is not where you're going. And so I train people how to make a living online. I do a lot of virtual mentoring, as you know. And so building that brand and that voice has been something that I've been super passionate about for the last, 12 years.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of one of the big things that really wanted me to reach out to you, just the virtual mentoring and stuff like that. So I'm intrigued though. So you had a little bit more rougher childhood, it seems like, and you did a lot of work when you were a kid. Tell me a little bit more about that and how like that kind of shaped you into who you are today. Because I'm fascinated by that, because I don't come from a family with money like whatsoever, right? And yet I have big goals and aspirations, and I think there are a lot of people like that. Just looking at demographics, there's a lot of people that grow up in those types of situations or worse. So how did that kind of shape you, and how did you use that to become who you are today and help you become financially and, otherwise successful?
Yeah, so I'll first of all share this with you. Life isn't life is not about what happens, it's about how you react to what happens. And it's not about it's about your perception. So I'll give you an example. If you and I look out the window and it's raining and you're happy and I'm mad, the weather didn't change. Right. Or if we look at a bush and you see roses and I see thorns, the bush didn't change, right? Or if a father has 2 sons and the father was an alcoholic, in and out of prison, strung out on, through addictions on drugs and alcohol, and the one son is in and out of prison, strung out on drugs and alcohol, and is completely addicted and blames it on the father, and the other son has never done any of that, great family, great working career and so on, and blames it on the father didn't change either. Right. And so our circumstances don't dictate kind of where we're heading. It's our decisions that do. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I think really helped shape me, I remember when I was maybe 8 years old, maybe 9 years old, but my dad said to me one day, I don't even remember what I said to him, but I ticked him off. I could tell I really made him mad. And he gritted his teeth like this, like a dad would, and he put his finger like almost in my chest, and he goes, "You think the world owes you something?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm 8 years old, like calm down." And he goes, and again, I don't remember what I said, but he goes, "You think the world owes you something because your last name's Prince?" He goes, "The world doesn't owe you anything." He said, "If you're going to make something of your life, you're going to go out there and you're going to make it happen." And what I would share with your audience is that like no one owes you anything, dude. So you have to go out there and you have to go make things happen. And again, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And so our decisions matter, our life matters, what we do matters, and no one owes us anything. So it's up to us to make something of ourselves. And what he said to me then was, if you make something of your life, it's your credit to keep. And if you screw your life up, it's your credit to keep. So you can't blame it on everybody else. It's just your own success or your own failure is yours. And I think that's one of the hardest things for people, is taking personal ownership, personal accountability of what they're doing in their life. and making sure that they own their stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's so true. Too often, I think, in society, people victimize themselves, and I think that they feel sorry for themselves. And that's something that my parents try to instill in me early on, that just because something happens to you, well, that sucks, but you got to get over it, you got to keep going,
Yeah.
you got to make something out of that. And so I think that's awesome. Obviously, you've had a lot of success in your life, in a lot of different avenues. One thing, a lot of the people that watch this are millennials, and I'm a millennial myself, right? And one thing that I think a lot of people, think is okay, I want to make money, I want to make a good living for myself, but so often in society, I feel like people try to diminish that. I think people tell you, it's like, hey, just be grateful for what you have, don't reach, don't overextend, right? And so, I mean, how does somebody overcome that, especially in situations where maybe your family wasn't the most financially successful? How do you overcome all of that negativity and, that basically hate on you for wanting to make something of yourself?
Well, let me first of all tell you this. It happens in every culture, in every era of the world. So it's not like a millennial issue. It's been happening through all of human history. I'll give you an example. When I'm in Asia they say that the nail that sticks up shall be hammered down. In Australia, they talk about the tall poppy syndrome. They have these their little flowers are called the poppy flower, but they'll grow like this, and then one of them will stick up. And they say the one that they stick up, they slice down. And so what is it about human nature that when something tries to rise above everybody else, our tendency is to want to hammer them back down? Well, that's been happening throughout all generations. These are like ancient proverbs, like this has been happening throughout all generations, throughout all of human history in all different areas of the world. And you want to be the one that stands out. You want to be the one that steps up. You want to be the one, like for me, and it's interesting because I had both friends and family. By the way, the book Think and Grow Rich, he says that you'll have well-intentioned family and friends that will tell you not to do it. And I'm not saying that there's not wisdom and counsel. I think counsel is a good thing, like getting guidance and counsel from people that maybe been there before you. But a lot of the people that we're getting counsel from, they don't have any context into what we're going to go do. And like in my case, the profession that the entrepreneurial profession that I entered, my mom and my dad had no real context. And fortunately for me, they overall were supportive, meaning they're like, yeah, whatever. I mean, you'll put your mind to it and figure it out. But a lot of other people weren't. They made fun of me. They told you you're going to fail, all these kind of things. And what I would share is you want to be the nail that sticks up, or you want to be the tall poppy that grows taller than everybody else. Not so that you can look down and feel like you're better than anyone else, but because you're fulfilling your own purpose, your own mission, your own goals. Like you're becoming the person that you know that you're supposed to become. So I tell people, own your own truth. Whatever that is, own your own truth, and like be that person. And what's so interesting is this: once you start getting momentum, once you start to succeed, string some wins together, then all the people that were your haters they all like all of a sudden cheer you on. They're like, oh yeah, I knew you were going to succeed. And you're like, no, you didn't, dude. You were hating bad, So I would just tell you to own your truth and to go out there and actually strive to just basically, again, own that truth of what your goals are, what your ambition is. This idea that, so let me tell you this about money. Money, being poor does not make you virtuous, and being rich does not make you virtuous. Being virtuous makes you virtuous. And so the idea of like, if you have more money, you'll be more virtuous, or if you're poor, you'll be more virtuous. Neither, dude. It's just being virtuous is virtue. And that's what I would share with you, is just become a good person. And then the more money you have, the better person you'll be. And then if you're a total jerk, the more money you have, probably the bigger jerk you'll be. So I don't think money really plays a role either way. I
mean, with the role of money then, a lot of people either want just chase money, or then there's some people that almost chase everything but money. I mean, do you think that there's a balance between the two? Do you think that obviously family, stuff's more important? We know that. But at the same time, without money, you're going to struggle in a lot of ways. So like, where's that balance?
Yeah, so in any career, I think people are looking for income and lifestyle.
Yeah.
So income is how much dollars can you generate? What's the economic potential of doing this?
Right.
And then lifestyle is like, do I enjoy my life? Because I know people that make a lot of money, but they hate their life. Like they hate it. Right. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They don't things that are important to them, they don't ever get to be a part of their family or whatever it might be. So the point I'm saying is, you want to find a situation where you can have the income and you can also have the lifestyle. And the lifestyle doesn't have to be Ferraris and Rolls Royces and freaking private jets. If that's what you want, then that's fine too. But the point I'm saying is the lifestyle, like where you could like coach your kid's team if you want, or whatever the case might be, you still can do the things that you want to do. And that's not easy, like finding income and lifestyle. Now you have to ask yourself what's important to you. You know, I live by the philosophy that no success outside the home will compensate for failure inside my home. So my family for me is my number one priority. But I also don't believe in work-life balance. I believe in what I call work-life integration. So work-life integration is like I'll take my kids. My kids are part of my business. My business is part of my life, and my life is part of my business. And so my kids, I think my kids feel like it's theirs. My kids are like their own little entrepreneurs, you know.
Yeah.
And I think they think it's partially theirs. I went and spoke for your company. Mm-hmm. And I brought my son, I don't know if you remember, I brought my son, he was kind of backstage there with me. Well, that to me is part of the work-life integration, right? And I think those are experiences that I can give him that are unique and kind of cool. We can have the hour and something drive up, the hour and something drive back, and really pour in. But so again, I think that when you say what should you pursue, I think that's really an individual question, like what's important to you. But don't think you're more righteous because you don't pursue money. And don't think you're more righteous or more virtuous because you do pursue money. Like you find out what your truth is and go pursue it and make it happen. But for me, I'll share this with you. For me, people say, where did you get your kind of your ambition and your drive? And it's interesting because Brendon Burchard wrote a book recently called basically it's called High Performing Habits. It's like the habits of the high performers. Okay. And it's so interesting because he interviewed all these crazy successful people, and this common theme that I shared is actually part of what their thing was. So I liken it to, there's a parable in the good book where it's called the parable of the talents. There's basically a master who has 3 servants, and he gives a talent or a coin. He gives one coin to one, 2 to the other, 5 to the other. Comes back later, the one with 5 had doubled it, had done something with it, doubled it, now had 10, the one with 2 had 4. The one with 1 had buried it, and the reason he buried it was not because he was an idiot. He buried it because he was fearful he would lose it. So the first moral of the story is that we all have something. Mm-hmm. Like even if you got 1 or 5 or 2 or 10, we all got talents and gifts and so on. But the second moral of the story is that your talents and your gifts weren't given to you for you. That's why burying it's not one of your options. Is because your talents and your gifts were given to you for everybody else. And so like I don't know if I have 1 talent or 2 talents or how many I got, but I know that like I have something. Yeah. And like I've even felt for years and years and years of my life that like I had like a responsibility. Because if I were to not like fulfill those talents with the best of my ability, I felt like I would be like living like less than what I should have become and doing less than what I could have done. And so that's where the kind of the drive and the passion and the hunger to wake up early, stay up late, that comes from just this internal place of like, don't just settle. And I tell people the worst thing for ambition is comfort. It's like in your world, if someone sells 1 and they check out versus someone sells 1 and they sell 5 more that day. Mm-hmm. Why? What's the difference? It's because the one person got 1 and got comfortable, the other person got 1 and got ambitious. Mm-hmm. And the worst thing for ambition is comfort. So you have to set higher goals, higher ambition, higher drive to keep pushing yourself to go to the next level.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Let's go back to the family portion real quick, because I think that's fascinating. And so you said you don't believe in work-life balance; it's more like a work-life integration. How can you dive in a little bit more on that? So I just got married about a year ago.
Congrats.
And I'm the type of guy, I would rather work 80, 90 hours a week for myself than work 40 hours a week for somebody else, right? And so how do you effectively, like, not balance but integrate it, right? And so especially just, you talked about bringing your son to your speeches and stuff like that, but what are some other ways that you integrate that?
Yeah, so I'll give you some marriage advice here, dude.
Hey, I'll take.
I was going to say this is good stuff. No, communication's key. So your communication will be the number one thing, which is communication is you can be sitting right next to your wife and not be on the same page, and you can be in another country and be on the same page. Right. And being on the same page is your communication. Like, do you guys have similar goals? And so if you're traveling or speaking or working the 80 or 90 hours, is she like aligned with the strategy, like aligned with the goals? And if the answer is no, you could be home all day and you'd have friction. And if the answer is yes, you could be working all day and you'd be fine.
Right.
So communication's key. But the second thing I'd share with you is this. Work-life integration to me is, when I was a kid, my dad was in real estate. He was a land developer and a home builder. And I remember tons of times I'd come up late at night and have yellow legal pads of paper and have his pen or pencil out. It'd be like 11:30 at night, sitting at the kitchen table. I came up to get a drink of water or whatever the case might be. And he's there sketching stuff out. And I remember thinking, this dude's not closing the doors at 5 o'clock. Like, it's not 9 to 5. Like, this is like part of his life. Well, he would also come to my like sophomore basketball games, and sophomore basketball games are like at 3 in the afternoon or something like that. Right. A bunch of the other dads and moms couldn't show up because they were at work. So the point is, he could build his flexibility around, he could build his schedule around the things that were important to him. And so that's part of what I do. Like, I'm taking my daughter, I assume I'll probably be the only father, but I'm taking her and her whole class on a big field trip on Thursday. Well, dude, that's because I can put it in my calendar. I can be wherever I want to be. But I remember when my little girl turned 6, I was in Australia the day of her birthday. I was in Australia. And you say, well, dude, you're a terrible parent. And okay, maybe I am. But what I'll share with you is this. She and I had really good communication, my little girl. She knew where I was going to be. She knew why I was going to be there, the whole thing. When I got back, we had the family party where everybody was there, but then we had like a private father-daughter date where I could integrate my life into pouring into her. And she loves it. Like, it was a super great experience. So work-life integration is the key. It's like, it's integrating your life. Because as an entrepreneur, as someone is chasing a business type, not an employee mindset. Because an employee, you might be able to go home at 5. Right. An entrepreneur, like, it's what you are. It's not what you do. Yeah. And so you have to make sure that your family's part of that and your relationships are part of that.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, that's super great advice. So here's a question. So I'm 23 years old right now. I've had some success so far, like in the industry that I'm in. Obviously, you're a little further on down the road. You made your first million in your 20s, I think it was, right? So how does somebody like me, talk directly to me, like how do I build on the success that I currently have to get to, say, making $1 million before I'm 30? Like, what are some of the action steps I can take?
Well, first of all, you have really good momentum. Because you're learning how to sell, you have good skill sets, hard work, and good attitude. Like, those 3 things are critical. You're learning the skill sets to sell, to work with people. Like, it's invaluable. You have a great attitude, super positive, pouring into people, and then third is you're a hard worker. So, like, you have really good momentum. Without those things, that'd probably be my advice right there, is get those 3 things. But the 3 things I think if I were to kind of quantify it, I'd say. You need ambition, which you have. You have, the desire, the drive, the fire, the vision, and the willingness to put in the work. The second thing is opportunity. Is you're always looking for really great opportunities. And the third thing is a great mentor. Like finding someone that's like already done that. That and I tell people, particularly young people, it's one thing to find a mentor. It's another thing to be like a good mentoree. Like some people, dude, they suck at being mentored. Like, you'll talk to them and they'll say, I'm already doing that or whatever, and you're like a good mentoree is so hungry, so fiery. Like, you called me today and asked for some time, and this is like learning and then applying, That's what good mentorees do. Right. But those are 3 things I think you need: ambition, opportunity, and a mentor. Someone that's kind of already been there. You can figure stuff out by yourself, but the learning curve's too long and it's too steep. Meaning, most people quit before they figure it all out. So a good mentor can be like, okay, it's like a friend of mine said when they were in Vietnam, they would walk through the landmines and they would walk behind somebody. He said you always came out a lot taller because you would just step where they've already stepped. Yeah. And that's what having a good mentor does. Is you just walk out a lot taller.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's awesome. So let's shift gears a little bit. I want to kind of talk about the way that you provide value and you're building content and stuff like that. So number one, I mean, you do a lot of stuff on Facebook Live, on Instagram, like you're doing all this stuff and you're kind of extending your reach. How has that impacted your business? I mean, what would you say to someone that's wanting to start to create content like that? Like I'm kind of in the beginning stages of that. How has it changed your business and how can somebody provide the most value possible?
To your point, providing value providing as much value as possible. So that's the attitude you want to have.
Yeah.
Instead of an ask, it's a give. Like, can you provide value content? So that's that kind of servant heart. The word, people say, in essence, they would like to be the hero, like hero online, or the hero with their family, or the hero in their business. The Latin word hero comes from the Latin word servo, which means servant. The literal translation means slave. But first, to become the greatest leader, you're first the greatest servant, and you pour into people, right? So building your brand online, I have a ton of like content and passion on this subject, but building your brand online is both the image people see, so in other words your profile picture, that kind of stuff, but then it's also like, what's your voice? Are you positive or negative? Are you talking about politics, or are you not talking about politics? Like, are you like bullying everybody on freaking line, or are you like pouring into people online? Like, are you inspiring people? So the way that you do your content flow, your voice and so on, do you have a consistent voice? Do you go on rants and go kind of negative? And here's the thing: is I know people that do that and they get a lot of views. Like, in other words, they have an audience.
Yeah.
I think it's so short term. There's so negativity sells. We all know that. Like, slander sells, negativity sells. I'm telling you, it's short term. And at the end of the day, people watch it for the train wreck. They watch it to see how outlandish you can be, and you can never quite get ahead of how. In other words, they're bored with you when you're not a complete jerk to everybody. Right. So you don't want to be that guy. Okay, the second thing I'd say is this: Facebook Live. I don't think there's a more powerful business tool in the world than Facebook Live. So the thing that's had more power on human history, from like shaping our minds and our philosophies and so on, than anything in human history is the television. It sits in everybody's like living room. They like sit down on their couch and just click there and watch it. So it's had massive impact on like who we are as human beings. The television, you and I can go both get on TV. You just have to spend tons and tons of dollars and have a voice, have a reason to be on, but spend a ton of money, right? If we had enough money, we can go start running ads or whatever. Facebook Live is basically live TV, meaning it's live like a TV would be.
Yeah.
Most people, their eyeballs are right here all day versus on a TV. Like, in fact, in our house, we have TVs. We don't even use them anymore.
Right.
We have the Amazon thing, so whenever we do use it, we'll like watch like a movie or something like that. But I can't even tell you the last time I freaking watched TV.
Yeah.
And so, but guess where our eyeballs are? They're in our phones. So you can speak to people live. You can build your content, your brand, and then Facebook gives you more reach for doing lives versus a post.
Well, and it sits on so much data as well. So even if you wanted to run ads and stuff like that, you can like really pinpoint exactly who you want to reach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Particularly on a business page where you can boost it and so on. So it's just a crazy powerful medium. It's a crazy powerful medium. And when you start providing content online where people are learning from you, you become an authority. So you don't have to become an authority to become an authority. When you start providing value that someone's learning from, you become an authority. And so I provide a ton of value on Facebook and on Instagram and so on, but I just think it's an unbelievable medium. I think that the day will come when the new ABC, NBC, CBS is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Like that platform, and I liken it like this. There had to have been a day, we used to communicate through smoke signals. It'd be like, oh my gosh, look, the Johnsons had a baby, and like, because they did it through a smoke signal.
Yeah.
And then they did it through like the Pony Express, you write out a letter and the dude on a horse would ride it around all the United States. And then they had, so like it continued to evolve, the way we communicated evolved. And the day had to happen. I can just imagine the conversation where someone goes, let me see if I get this right. So you're telling me I'm going to go to a wall, stand against the wall, pick something up off the wall that's hooked to the wall with a cord. I'm going to talk into it, and then I'm going to hold it to my ear, and someone's going to talk back to me that lives in Chicago. Like, are you freaking crazy? But they're like, and I'm sure they also thought, like, isn't this going to end humanity as we know it? Like, no one's going to have like friendships anymore because we were like talking to walls and wires and whatever. Well, the telephone connected us more. The mom could talk to her daughter that just had the newborn baby, and they could like give her, tell her how much she loved her. That connected us more, not less.
Yeah.
Well, social media is doing the same thing. Social media just, like, I built our business right now. My global team will do over $200 million this year, but my US and Canada team will do over $100 million. That's all primarily on Facebook.
That's crazy.
I mean, that's crazy, dude. If you'd have told me that even a couple of years ago, I wouldn't have said that was possible. But what happened is the connection. It connected all these people. We've been able to leverage that communication platform to build, a massive business. So
same communication, just different medium. And
unbelievable. Yes. And again, it doesn't make people less connected. If you use it properly, it'll make you more connected with your audience, not less. And so Facebook Live, I have a lot of energy on that subject because it's crazy powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of like, Gary Vee says, day trading attention, and because that's where the attention is right now. So do you not think that social media is ruining kids? It's an interesting topic because it can go a lot of ways, but...
Look, dude, I'll tell you where some of the negatives that I'm seeing. I am bullying. Bullying meaning it's like through passive aggressive bullying.
Yeah.
Like you can go in there and you can you're basically making fun of someone or being rude to someone or demeaning someone. And we wouldn't do it face to face. But I can get on I can use my thumbs and I'm like strong with my thumbs. So that being passive aggressive, like where you'll go in there and you'll post something about someone, but you won't mention their name. It's like, dude, if you got an issue with someone, just go address the issue, work it out, and come to a healthy solution and move on with your life. That stuff I think is super negative. I do think we're in our phones a lot, that we've lost some of our human touch connection, but I also think that it's also brought us in many cases closer together.
Yeah.
So like everything else on the planet, right? Like there's good and there's the bad, and I do think people are addicted. We're all addicted to our devices. I agree with that, and so you have to break those addictions just so that you can have clarity, time to think, time to process, time to pray, meditate, whatever that is for you. But just like time to process and like think and breathe. I agree, but I think that was something that people should have done way before cell phones and way before. Like in other words, you always need that time to like really, what's my life all about? My best advice on social media when it comes to negativity and when it comes to particularly to bullying is don't say it, don't share it, and don't type it.
Yeah.
If it's not positive, dude, don't say it, don't share someone else's crap, and then third is just don't type it. Like everyone get courage because they're it's just them on their phone.
Warriors, right?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's a problem. That is a problem that I've seen. I actually have like a lot of energy on this subject because I think that we're not having. There's a great book that I would encourage someone to read that wants to get past this. It's called Crucial Conversations. People have lost, in many cases, the ability to have tough conversations.
Yeah.
Like you've hurt my feelings, or I'm upset, or I'm afraid, or you've offended me, or like whatever it is. We don't know how to have just a real conversation. We go blow them up online, and I just think it's just freaking cowardly is what I think.
Yeah, definitely. No, those interesting insights. The last kind of thing I wanted to ask you about was all the speaking that you do. I know that I've seen you all on social media. You go all over the world and speak. How did that kind of come to be? Like, how did you get into doing that? And what advice would you have for somebody that wants to get into that? Like me, I just went and spoke at my old high school.
Love it. So that's the advice I was going to give you. That's freaking the advice I was going to give you, is go speak any freaking moment you can get a chance. Yeah. So that's secondary. First advice is go succeed at something.
Right.
So you because no one wants to hear, like Jim Rohn said it best. He said, I wish we could have the guy who's 45 years old, who's strung out on drugs, lost his beautiful wife, lost his beautiful family. He said, I wish we could go to his seminar and just take all the notes on what not to do, because it'd be really insightful, like all the decisions not to make, all the people to avoid, all the situations to stay out of. You could gain a lot of great insights. He said, unfortunately, no one wants to pay for that seminar, right? The point, though, is go create a life that people want to hear about. Go win. And let me share this. Sometimes, like when I share with you, you want to find opportunity. Mm-hmm. So you're like, man, maybe I need to go find a bigger opportunity where I'm at. What I'm telling you is bloom where you're planted, dude. Become the man at what you currently do. Become really, really like in the top couple percent of the whole company. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even couple percent of the whole industry. If you string wins together, opportunity will find you.
Yeah.
And so first thing is go win at something, like have a story to share. And again, life's not about what happens, it's about how we react to what happens. So the bigger your trials are, like the more like the hardship you've had to go through, instead of looking at that as look at that as the biggest blessing you have. Why? Because this is how I overcame that. That's powerful stuff. No one wants to hear the richest to riches Like if Rocky was the baddest man around and went in and beat everybody up, no one would want to watch the story. People loved the Rocky story because he was the underdog. He was the nobody. He was just like them, and he got knocked down. Rocky won. He lost, dude.
Yeah.
Like he didn't win. He lost. But people relate to it because he gave it all he had. And in other words, he was the little guy that overcame, right?
Good story.
So that's the power of the story, though. It's the dream, struggle, victory. It's like if it goes big dream, small struggle, big victory, no one wants to hear. If it goes big struggle, big dream, big struggle, big victory, then it's compelling. People want to hear what you have to say. So going back to your question about, okay, so then speaking, I'd go speak any chance you got a chance. I'd go speak, whether it's like at a church or to kids or to adults. I go speak at local high schools. Like I go speak now any chance I get. My schedule is a little bit more demanding now. I'm doing this stuff with you.
Right.
Why? Because you want to share and get on. It makes you quick on your toes. Like go speak as much as you can. Refine your speeches. Get better at it. I care a lot about it. Like I fret over it. Like I'll show you this real quick. I take a lot of notes. This is just all my notes.
Right.
And so ideas for new movies. These are like Facebook Live ideas.
Right.
I'm constantly taking notes just all the time. And by the way, this goes on for days. But the point is you're constantly getting better. You constantly care. I constantly coach people. I had a girl this last weekend that was in Vegas for her company's event. They had like 15,000 people there, and she was one of the speakers. And I'm on the phone with her. I have no financial vested in this at all, but I'm on the phone with her kind of coaching her up on how to hit your marks, how to do this. And I've been coaching her for a few months. And the point I'm saying is, I just care about the beginning of the speech and the end of the speech and the music of the speech and the points I make and making them better. I just care. And so those three pieces of advice I'd give you. One is go win, bloom where you're planted and win where you are. String some wins together, like create a story people actually want to hear about. Then number two is speak any chance you get a chance to. Just a conference call, a training with your team. I don't care if there's 4 people there. Like light. Then this goes to number 3, light them up. Like every time you get a chance to speak, do a good job.
Right.
Because people want to be around it more. They want to hear about it more. They want to say, what's up? Like, who is this guy? Or what did you say? And I loved how you said this, and this really impacted me. Facebook Live, I'll tell you this is the truth. Facebook Live, you'll become a better speaker because you're doing a lot of Facebook Lives. Because you're having to like make sentences more concise and say more with less and like look into the camera and like push play and you're like, okay, here we go, And so all of those things, you can't edit that. Just roll with it and just go. So all those things I think are really powerful when it comes to building your brand, building your voice, becoming a professional speaker. There's some more really technical things we could, like go with the Chamber of Commerce and go to the National Speaking Association. You can do all those things. I'm just saying, like today, what can you do? You can win today. You can speak anytime you get a chance. You do a Facebook Live today and speak, and then number 3 is get really good at it.
Right.
So that's my thoughts.
Sweet. No, I appreciate it, man. Just kind of last question. I know you're busy, so I'm gonna let you go. But what is your favorite country that you have visited in all the travels that you've done? I know there's a lot. I know it's probably a hard question. If you had to pick one that you'd be like, you have to go to this place.
I'd probably say Australia.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to some awesome places, and I love history. I'm very curious. I love to learn. There's nothing like learning about a country's history like being in the country.
Yeah.
There's just a fascination when you're there. You're there at the Kremlin, or you're there you're there in Red Square in Moscow, Russia. You're like learning about the history, where it happened, and so on.
Yeah.
When you're on the border of North and South Korea, that's really fascinating to learn. All of that history. Like we hear right now, like North Korea and South Korea, and we hear all this stuff. Right. But we're like, who the crap are these guys, right? It's fascinating to sit there and to learn it with the people and ask questions. And what is your cab driver's take on what's going on? And that's just fascinating. But Australia is off the charts. So Australia, I don't know. I've had some super cool experiences. I've been in multiple places in Australia. Okay. Like I've been out to the Great Barrier Reef, which is like one of the 7 wonders of the world. Yeah. You can see it from space, for crying out loud. And the Great Barrier Reef, like there's sharks swimming around our boat, and they're like, don't feed the sharks. I'm like throwing stuff off the side of the boat. And swam with down, scuba dived and snorkeled in the Great Barrier Reef. That's life changing. I've done hot air balloons over the Gold Coast. So the Gold Coast is this massive part of Australia. By the way, all my Australians, if they watch this, they're gonna be like, they're gonna be like happy I'm getting them some love here. But the Gold Coast is this unbelievable coastline, and we've hot air ballooned over that, which that was like freaking life changing too. That was crazy.
Wow.
I've been on the different oceans out there in Australia. The one ocean off the coast of Africa was there. You could walk out clear out there. Like there's this one section you could walk clear out there, and it's like waist high, chest high. It's just awesome. Australia is just it's just a really cool, really diverse country. There's a lot of different things. So I would probably say Australia. And again, I've been to a ton of countries, and they're all super, super cool. But Australia is a really, really cool place.
That's awesome. You ever been to Sweden?
I have not. I have not been to Sweden. I've been to some other spots. And by the way, that's so tough. So I've been to some spots in Europe that are off the charts, dude.
Yeah. So I'm from Sweden. That's where I'm born. My wife and I are going to Germany next month.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Europe.
Yeah, Europe's awesome.
Europe's off the charts. So London, Paris. We went to Brussels. To Belgium. Yeah. All of those. I mean, like London was off the chain. Paris was off the chain.
Yeah.
Rome, I loved Rome.
Yeah,
loved Rome. Loved Rome. Loved it.
Yeah.
Rome's now that's history.
Yeah.
Because like that's not. See, in Utah, I live in Salt Lake City. So in Utah, old in Utah is like 1800s.
Right.
Which is like it's like chump change compared to like some of these other.
Stuff,
it's like nothing.
Yeah.
I mean that's like they have people that are that old,
Yeah.
In those spots, you go like when you're in Rome, you're going back thousands of years, dude. Not even hundreds of years, not to like 1400s and so on. You're going back thousands of years, and so the Roman history is just off the charts, and Rome's just awesome. So, crap, I don't know, that's tough. I've been to some cool places, but I'm gonna stick with Australia, even though some of those other places are just off the charts.
That's awesome. We'll go to Sweden. Maybe we'll
okay. Yeah.
But no, well, thanks. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, you're welcome, bro. Proud of you. You're doing great.
Trying my best, man.
Yeah, so. I love your hustle. Love your desire to, your hunger. That reminds me a ton of me. Just you can't teach ambition, you can't teach fire, and you can't teach hunger.
Yeah.
And it's like height. It's like someone's 7'2". They just got that, dude.
Yeah.
And you can teach someone skills, but you can't teach the fire. And that's something that you have, and that's definitely something you and I think that's like a kindred spirit, because it's something that I think we have in common.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Where can people find you?
So obviously on Facebook with Justin Prince, my fan page is probably best. They can follow me on my personal page. Instagram is I am Justin Prince, and then Twitter same thing, and then also IamJustinPrince.com online as well.
Awesome. Cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
I can give you guys one of my books, dude.
Sweet. I appreciate that. Yeah. Go check them out. Anyways, like I said, thanks so much for your time. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Cool. Let's do it. Thanks, bro. Proud of you guys.
Okay.